It boggles the brain to think that Half-Life 2 is 8 years old now, but still as beautiful as the day I met it. Half-Life 2 is seemingly a polarizing game. While very well received for the most part, there has been a growing vocal minority, usually those who have picked the game up years after the fact, who deride it as a gimmicky shooter with no story, which, considering what the current most popular game franchise on the planet is just sad. I'm of the opinion that Half-Life 2 not only has a great story, but that it is presented in such a unique and intimate way that you're capable of forming great connections with characters who in truth probably only have a few minutes worth of dialogue each. Half-Life 2 shows us a grand alien invasion story scaled down to its effects on just a handful of people. The old team from Black Mesa are back, or rather here for the first time, as they were never characterized in Half-Life 1, and form the core of the Resistance under the Combine regime. Gordon Freeman is dumped back onto Earth by the enigmatic G-Man 20 years after his departure, and God help the poor man, nobody makes any effort to clue him into what's going on. And while that could be considered a bit of a plot hole, the fact that nobody deigns to let him know the state of play means that instead of tedious exposition dumps, we get tantalizing morsels of plot doled out to us instead, if we're willing to pay attention. For instance, who are the strange grub-like creatures Dr. Breen talks to throughout the game? Why is the sea level 5 meters lower in Half-Life 2 than it is now? When did Vortigaunts learn to play chess? Just how much of the original humanity is left of the Combine soldiers? Why is a lot of Combine equipment so shoddy and put together? Could it be that the Combine care so little about Earth that after they conquered it, they left only the tiniest fraction of their forces behind to keep tabs on it? What is the G-Man's purpose? How many other people know about him, and to what extent? You'll notice that in my Let's Play I heard a line of dialogue from Judith Mossman where it suddenly clicked that she might well be talking about the G-Man. Certainly she couldn't have intended to make Breen sound so omnipotent. In fact, if the other characters know about the G-Man, could their lack of informing Gordon as to the current events be on G-Man's instruction? Do any of them truly care about Gordon as a person, or do they simply value him as a war asset, a tool hired out to them by the G-Man? This immersive, mysterious atmosphere, where you're always liable to discover something new, actually lends a lot of playability to a game which otherwise doesn't have much of a reason to run through it twice. Its mysterious atmosphere, however, also makes it hard to get into for those who lack the patience or the attention span to seek out plot clues for themselves. I know because when I played Half-Life 2 for the very first time, I wasn't particularly convinced. I ended up slogging through the first 2 levels just because I wanted to see the oft-talked-about Ravenholm, which was creepy as promised. It was only when I made it to Nova Prospect that I really started to feel won over by the game, and once the rebellion spilled out into the streets, I was hooked until the credit. In the end, the plot, while it is dressed up in an intriguing way, does just boil down to Earth has been invaded by aliens, we're fighting back, also the G-Man is really mysterious. So mysterious, I suspect that the writers have no idea what he is either. The naysayers' criticisms about Half-Life's simple story might be seen as correct, however what really carries the game and makes it great are the characters. It is an absolute treat to meet up with a major character after pushing your way through a monster-filled level, and one of the best and most talked about characters is Alex Vance. Alex Vance is touted all across the internet as one of the best women characters in gaming, one of the precious few to not be overly sexualized, not serve as a shallow love interest to the all-important male protagonist, not to just be a damsel who needs hand-holding and rescuing, and who in fact is shown to be incredibly capable throughout Half-Life 2, making it through dangerous zones entirely independent of Gordon, despite wearing no HEV suit, which is implied to be Gordon's only reason for success. Essays have been written about her, so I will try to keep my observations to things I haven't seen elsewhere. For starters, I appreciate that her talents aren't attributed to a man. What I mean by that is, traditionally, in the painfully white male-dominated medium that is mainstream fiction, any time a woman is shown to be capable of any area traditionally reserved for men, they credit it to a man. Like, if a woman is good at football, she'll say it's because she grew up with a lot of brothers. If a woman knows how to fix a car, she'll say it's because her father is a mechanic. Any time a woman displays a skill in fiction, she will jump at the opportunity to give a man credit for it. Not Alex. Alex has a knowledge of being out in the field and managing combat situations that she certainly didn't learn from her one-legged father. Could she have had male commanders? who showed her the ropes before she became one of the rebel leaders? Maybe, but she doesn't leap at the chance to let us know. Her strength, dexterity, and savviness are all her own. Her engineering and mathematical expertise is no doubt influenced by her father, but again, she isn't afraid to own those talents for herself. She doesn't immediately pass them off to her dad. In fact, it sounds like she's far outclassed her dad as far as engineering ability goes. When Eli Vance built her dog, by the sounds of it, he was an actual robot dog. Alex added to the robot until it became the great ape-like creature we know now. A robot of incredible power, durability, and general usefulness. Another thing I appreciate is that Alex's nascent relationship with Gordon Freeman is very understated and doesn't diminish her as a character. She has feelings for Gordon, referenced as early as Eli Vance, who teases her about it, and then shown again during the conversation in the Citadel lift, but she doesn't just melt away from being her own person to being something to drape off the arm of the big strong Gordon Freeman, which would have been so easy to do. Hell, out of all the characters, Alex seems to worship him the least. Most other NPCs seem to trip over themselves for a chance to praise Gordon to the high heavens. Alex, on the other hand, saved his life and began engaging in snarky banter from the get-go. It's quite rare in fiction that a woman can fall in love with a man without being completely assimilated. Even Skyrim, a game that is known to be progressive as far as love is concerned, will reduce any character, no matter how badass, to a doting housewife or house husband upon marriage. And I'm happy to report that Alex's character remains intact throughout episode 1 and 2 as well. Anyway, that's enough of my Alex rambling. I'll just leave off by saying never, ever, ever Google image search her, because the internet is full of men. As for things I don't like about this game, why is everyone mostly white with gentle American accents? Not only is City 17 meant to be based in eastern Russia, but it's also known practice for the Combine to constantly relocate the general populace around the Earth so that they can't get too pally with one another, can't start talking, can't build up a will to resist. Now the core rebellion can be forgiven as clearly they avoid this standard relocation, but even every downtrodden citizen of City 17 we see has that same American accent. It seems to me that the Combine would benefit from extreme multiculturalism. Stick a bunch of people who can't even speak the same language together, that would definitely have hindered rebellion. Hell, the only person who doesn't have an American accent is Colonel Cubbage, and word of God confirms that he's faking it. Also, a quick note on the gameplay. While tools like Gary's mod give the AI a chance to shine, it really is underutilized in the game itself. Combine soldiers and rebels are fully capable of seeking out cover, controlling the battlefield with grenades and even suppressing fire, know how to watch each other's backs, set up flanks and complex formations and all manner of things. The AI is incredibly impressive for 2004 when you see it in action, but Half-Life 2 is mostly tight corridors and small open rooms, so it really feels like this depth of enemy intelligence is wasted. Anyway, I'll cut my Half-Life review short for now, as there's plenty more to talk about during the episodes. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.